riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, co-host extraordinaire, Anakin to my Qui-Gon Jinn, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I have been lost in nostalgia, Garrett.
Lost?
So the worst version of good or the best version of bad, we're definitely not good though.
Okay, that's fair. What's got you so not bad but not good?
We have been listening to the album that just defined 1997, Third Eye Blind's Third Eye Blind. This was requested by Olivia for Alexa, her sister, in lieu of a college graduation ceremony. Hope this makes up for it.
Oh, that's right. Us talking about Third Eye Blind is your graduation present. I didn't go to mine. It's not a big deal. This is going to be way more fun anyway. Tim, you went to your graduation. How much fun was that?
Tons of fun, Garrett. It was hot outside. It was in Texas, and I was in a suit, or not a suit, but a shirt. The point is, I also had this robe thing on, and that did not breathe well. I was moist underneath.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So, Alexa, don't worry about it. You're not going to be sweating like Tim under some weird polyester chiffon robe. Instead, you're going to be listening to us talk about something that you may or may not love or still love. Oh boy, I don't know how this is going to fare. Tim, I'm curious. Do you hate this album?
I don't. It's not great. It's not good. It's kind of boring, but this sounds like 8th grade to me. Every time I put this album on, it immediately felt like it was 115 degrees in the room and I kind of needed a cigarette.
Again, folks,
8th grade.
Right. I can sort of agree with that. For anyone who's a first-time listener, Tim grew up in the House of Soud, so 115 was in the shade.
And smoking was legal for 8th graders.
Well, legal or not, Tim, it just makes you cool.
I was so cool, Garrett. So cool and sweaty.
Don't smoke.
Right.
But it does make you cool.
Garrett, did you hate this?
Tim, I'm going to come down with a controversial no.
Okay.
I do not hate it yet, and I don't think I'm going to. And I'm going to passionately argue that you shouldn't either.
Okay.
But I am curious, before we get into it, is this the first time your eyes have been blinded thrice?
Of course not, Garrett. This was one of those albums that everyone I knew had, so I felt no need to buy it. I have heard this ad nauseum, although there are a couple songs on this album I'm pretty sure I've never heard before this week. And then, of course, we did see Third Eye Blind, inexplicably still a band, at ACL 2019, where most of their songs were borderline unrecognizable, and they spent more time talking between songs than actually playing the songs.
Oh, yeah. It was not great. In fact, Tim, that was going to be my number one reason for citing my hatred for this band, but I came back around.
I think I might hate the band.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair distinction.
Really just the main guy. But Garrett, is this the first time you have had a third eye and then had that third eye blinded?
Partial credit. No, of course not. Very similar tale. One minor difference, Tim. I had a copy of this courtesy of the fine folks at Columbia House. This was part of the 25 CDs for a penny deal that for some reason they gave to a 15-year-old me. How old would I have been? 97.
36.
14. 14. It was 14. In any event, yeah, if you're dumb enough to allow a 14-year-old to agree to a contract in which you mail them 25 CDs and they give you nothing, you're not getting paid. In any event, I had ears in 1997. I actually think I got this a year later after everyone was quite sick of it. I do remember driving around listening to this quite a bit. God damn it, dude. I might have gotten this in 1999. I think I bought this and their sophomore album in the same 25 CD bundle. I was so terribly behind.
And still are in large degrees.
Nope, that is categorically untrue. Maybe. Defend yourself.
No, I think you'll come around on your own. You seem incredibly unsure of yourself.
That's your history. That's my history. But before we can talk about the album, it is customary here on this very show to talk about the history of the band. So take us on a journey. Help us understand, how did Third Eye Blind come to be?
Well, this brazenly, unapologetically, almost defiantly uninteresting band was formed in San Francisco in 1993. The lead singer and rhythm guitarer, Stefan Jenkins, was originally from the Bay Area, lived briefly in Wisconsin. Then he went to UC Berkeley, graduated in like 87, and then bummed around for like 6 years in San Francisco. Maybe another band, who knows. Kevin Renee Cadigan, the lead guitarer, is from Oakland, went to San Francisco State, and met Stefan in 93. The two decided to become San Francisco's answer to Lennon and McCartney, and never fight with one another, and never, Garrett, never sue one another for any reason.
I feel like you're setting us all up for a big twist.
Can't see how you could think that. They recorded a bunch of demos in 93 to 96 while playing locally. They would frequently have a piñata in the mosh pit of their shows. It was never really explained why. They joined up with producer and engineer Eric Valentine, who would go on to produce things like Joe Satriani, Smash Mouth, Good Charlotte, Queens of the Stone Age, Maroon 5, and Gwendolyn Stefani's Christmas album. In this period, they went through like 5 drummers, ended up with Smash Mouth's drummer filling in for a little bit. They got a showcase for some record executives and allegedly filled the mosh pit piñata with live crickets instead of delicious candy.
I think that's a great idea.
Of course you do, but it's not going to get you a record deal. Your concert is one of the Egyptian plagues.
No, it's just a little cricket play.
Oh my God, Garrett. I mean, if they were going to be reasonable about it, they would have taken a paintbrush filled with calf's blood and wiped it across the forehead of each one of those record executives so the crickets would leave them alone.
Right.
Read Exodus. Anyway, they then opened for Oasis a bunch. They played a couple more showcases and eventually got signed to Elektra Records. Their first album, the album of the week, was released in 97 with the help of Smash Mouth's drummer. And then Stefan began dating Charlize Theron for 3 years or so. 99, their second album, Blue, came out. It went platinum. And then Stefan fired Kevin Cadigan, who sued for wrongful termination, and they settled out of court for an undisclosed sum.
How does he get to fire him?
From what I could tell from early interviews, it really seemed like they kind of co-owned this. It was like a songwriting partnership. Each one of them got equal credit for everything.
Till the day one of them got no credit.
Absolutely. They took a 4-year hiatus. Then Stefan was featured in the Marky Mark movie Rockstar in 2001, and was then the star of 2003's straight-to-video film The Art of Revenge.
I've never heard of that.
You've almost certainly seen it.
I don't think so.
Also in 2003, the band released Out of the Vein, which didn't really sell well. Their record company then folded, and they were cut from the parent company.
Oh, that's right. Warner cut like 80 artists at the time.
Yeah. After that, there was a 6-year gap between albums. They did release a compilation album called A Collection. The liner notes for that credited the new guitarer, Tony Fredianelli, for all of Kev's previous work and left Kev out of the band biography because they're dicks.
How do you get away with that?
I believe that they had to go back and change it. In 2008, the EP Red Star was released.
To no one.
From this point on, it's to no one. Actually, that's not true. So in 2009, Ursa Major, their next album, was released. Now, this debuts at number 3 on the Billboard 200. It was their highest charting album to date, and to date being 2020. But then no one bought it after that first week, and it immediately fell to the bottom.
I would love to know what happened that week. Why were so many people compelled to buy Third Eye Blind albums?
I've got no idea.
Maybe it had been just long enough.
6 years?
Yeah. Everyone forgets everything they've ever known about things every 6 years.
That's
unless you relearn it sometime over that 6-year span.
Yeah, that's
science.
Why Garrett can't tie his shoes. Garrett also cannot read an analog clock.
Well, listen. I know roughly what they mean.
But like if it's 9:30, you can't tell if that's 9 or 10:30 or 8:30.
Right. Well, 8's easier than 9 or 10. It depends on the size of the little one.
Right. So I understand. So you're saying that if it's exactly on the hour, you can read it.
For sure.
Right. So that's saying you cannot read an analog clock.
Listen, Tim, I'm saying that on some of the wheels, the little one is too little.
Okay, you're calling it a wheel. You're calling it a wheel. That's not encouraging.
What do you call it?
I call it a clock face.
Well, I call it a clock wheel. It's probably just a regional dialect.
We're from the same region. Third Eye Blind claimed an album called Ursa Major was on the way. that was never released. They fired guitarist Tony Fredianelli. He also sued the band and was awarded just under $500,000 from a jury. So throughout this episode, Garrett, we need to make a pact. We are safe to say whatever we want about Stefan and Third Eye Blind. We do not say anything negative about Kevin or Tony. Or if we do, we have to say allegedly about it.
I would really like to maintain what is already the show policy. When in doubt, double allegedlys. Did you not read my memo? Oh, right.
You can't read a clock, Garrett.
Wait, listen, that is science. Because you got to translate it. It's not that I can't. Okay, hold on.
You got to translate writing into thoughts, all right? That's science.
Listen, the letters mean words, Tim. That part's easy.
Do you know how impressive it is? I memorize this entire history every week.
I'm not that impressed.
Oh, you should be. It's a lot of words that
I help edit this show, and I know how much thinking time we edit out.
In 2011, they released a song to support Occupy Wall Street, but they released it for free online, so I don't know how that helps. I guess Wall Street occupiers could download it and listen to it to keep their spirits up, maybe?
I guess. Or commiserate about how much they don't like the new Third Eye Blind single.
Oh, that would keep my spirits up. They released an album called Dopamine with a Beyonce cover as a B-side. In 2018, they released a covers EP called Thanks for Everything. 2019, they released an album called Screamer, and we saw them at ACL. So they're really going strong.
How is this possible? Not an impressive live performance.
No, and no one's heard a CD since Blue, and that was 99?
Yeah, it's a real no please nothing from the new album or from the last 18 years. Just the two please. And
honestly, also not that second one.
Yeah. Let's get into some general thoughts.
To start off with, I don't want to say it's an influential record, but this is a record that helped define late 90s alternative radio. For better or worse, this is what 97 sounded like.
Oh, sure.
It makes sense that this was popular on the radio because it's pretty generic, but it's also fairly varied. Aside from a few lines, it's pretty inoffensive. It's just very middle ground. It's a safe record.
It's pop.
Yeah, and I think this might piss off a bunch of Third Eye Blind fans, if that's still a thing, but if you gave me 5 Third Eye Blind songs and 5 Matchbox 20 songs and asked me to say which is which, I would have done real poorly. I don't necessarily mean that they sound similar. They just both sound like 96, 97. It blends together into this radio alternative rock that just all sounds like background static at this point.
I will deviate ever so slightly, and maybe it's just the two you chose, because I don't disagree, Tim. You are right. They are very much of an era. I differentiate the two ever so slightly.
I think stylistically they're probably fairly different. I will say, I think Third Eye Blind sounds weirdly similar to Oasis and Blur at various parts of this album. They sound a lot like bands that happened from 92 to 96. Stefan almost sounds like he's singing in a British accent at certain points in this album. It's an odd hodgepodge of things. I couldn't define what Third Eye Blind's individual sound is.
I hear influences of grunge, post-grunge on numerous songs in here. I hear Pixies.
Yes, they do the loud, quiet dynamic quite a bit, and I don't think it works at all in this album.
Part of the reason I don't hate it is that if you take their greatest hits, which is to say 4 songs from this album and 1 or 2 from Blue, there are few other pop rock, alt pop bands that have that many songs that are that catchy.
I will not argue that this is catchy.
Oftentimes on this show, we're confused why things were popular. I have no confusion here.
Yep, agreed.
Totally get it. This was also still at a time where you could have 3, even if you had 4 catchy songs, you're going to sell a couple million albums because everyone's going to buy it, not knowing the other 6, or in this case, 8, are just shit.
This is a very front-loaded album, too.
Yo, yeah. It runs out of steam around song 5 or 6. It is disappointing because things slow way down. Now, Tim, we have yet to finalize the mix or the track order for our first Texas Toast album, but I'll say right now, one of the most important things to this album, while not being entirely a concept album, it is thoughtfully put together to take our listener on a journey. Is there an official narrative that runs song to song? I'll never tell. But
yeah, you will.
Yeah, I will explain every gory detail, and it involves women in candles. But But it's important how you sequence your album. Maybe it's just a studio play. They're like, here are the 5 hits, put them up top so it's just boom, 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 boom. And if they stick around for the last part of it, great. If they turn it off, who gives a shit? We already got your money.
Well, I think in the 90s, no one gave a shit about that either because that was the CD boom. And so no one was listening to tapes or records anymore. You could just skip to whatever track you wanted. I think there was a definitive point there where no one cared about the song order anymore, which you don't really need to now with digital music. It just is a real bane of our existence because we listen to the songs for the most part in order.
Yeah, almost always, unless there's a reason for me to reorder them for my own uses.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes it just syncs up better with Daredevil on mute.
Well, everything does, though.
Well, I'm just saying sometimes you got to reorder it based on the scenes.
Oh, sure. Also kind of weird, there's very little swearing on this album, maybe only a couple of goddams in the first song, which is...
Oh, you're right.
It's odd because swearing in music was really in vogue in 97.
Oh, yeah. It's how you showed you were badass.
Yes.
I made the mistake thinking as a child that this was rock music.
Yeah, it's not. It's Brit pop played by San Franciscans.
I'm less inclined to your Brit pop, but I think you're more inclined to say that because the two examples, which are very apt, Oasis, Blur, or Damon Albarn, are British folk. So I think they're intrinsically tied in your mind. But if you think about the wailing guitar of the Pixies, even some light influence of some screaming you might get with Dinosaur Jr., hell, even the lyricism of R.E.M., I get where this band came from.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you can kind of see all that. Unfortunately, it's to poor effect. And I'm going to make an argument later on in this album that I think that this band wanted to be a better pop band, but only had heard the things that like you and I are listing off here.
They're also sold as if they're a rock band that just happens to be popular, like an early Nirvana.
Absolutely.
And that's just not the case.
Speaking of popular, Tim, I would be remiss to leave out what I thought was an influence and is actually just a contemporary, one of my favorites from the era, Not a Surf.
Yeah.
Very similar sound.
Absolutely.
Especially in weirdly some of the quieter songs. If anybody's familiar with the Not a Surf deep cuts, and I know, Tim, you aren't.
You've made me listen to them a number of times, friend.
Yeah, the last time we were sitting on a balcony in Miami watching the sunrise.
All right, to be clear, I understand that Drew or Nolan is going to draw this scene, and I'm already dreading it. We had not just finished making love. We were both fully clothed.
Yes, there was no romantic feelings, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, toward the sunset, of course. It always brings that of you, but not one to the other.
Sunrise. I don't think we'd gone to bed that evening.
Okay, see?
That's not better.
God damn it. All right. Anyway, also worth noting, though, Stefan Jenkins, main songwriter here, was 33 when this album came out.
That's embarrassing.
This guy had been trying since he was like 22 to make it in the music business and finally got this album out and it just hit and he kind of got stuck with it.
Oh, sure. They're good songs for what he wanted to do.
I don't know about that.
They're good songs to become pop hits.
They're good radio songs for 97.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, but they're not good songs.
This is not good music. I just don't hate it. I get it, and I don't have a problem with it. And of course, Tim, if you love this album, good on you. Fuck us.
Yeah,
we don't care.
Still keep listening. It might be funny.
Of course. Yeah. If you love this album, listen, I'm going to confess all sorts of weird things on this episode.
Okay, so good God. You know what? Honestly, I'm going to confess a lot of things about Garrett on this episode because I have some secrets that he has been hiding, some stuff he was up to. I'm going to let it all out. But
new show segment, Why I Hate This Album, Secrets.
No.
Yeah, we both know a lot of things that shouldn't be said out loud.
Okay, see, again. Okay, anyway. So, okay, Garrett, before we move on to the song by song, I want to paint a picture of how this band feels about themselves, how they view their own music and their own place in the rock world. On Genius Lyrics, they do this verified artist description, which essentially means it's just the band in their own words. The band has written their own biography. So here's how Third Eye Blind has described themselves. Third Eye Blind from San Francisco, Mission District. Mostly guitars, with other things knocking around, riffs and deep beats. Lyrics are expanded in a kind of hip-hop way. That wrong thing you're not supposed to say, we'll say it. Black on black pretty much from the beginning. Unclear what that means. It took us so long to get things this way, but it really feels like we're underway now. Jacked on coffee, we are a fabulously disorganized bunch. We seek impact with friends. Try to surf whenever we can. Dirty jokes. Looking out for each other.
I don't understand.
It's a freestyle poem.
So hold on, maybe Jack White can use this on his next album. Well, a goat yodels into a microphone.
We have eyes and a voice, so no surprise when we speak the fuck up. We care about shit. No sequencers or backing track. We believe in the gathering power of music. Guess you could say we are a motherfucking rock band. Born in shadow, made of lions, loud as fuck.
I was raised in the shadow. They put me in a hole because I was made of lions, loud as fuck.
That is poetry, y'all.
I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. Capsize on all the lies you've been living in.
Okay, after you do the child's chorus voice Christmas shoes, I'm going to need you to do a karaoke version of this entire album using the Bane voice. That will sell.
What? I don't think so, Tim.
I think it will.
I do not really look to you for what will sell.
Okay, it will get a lot of views on YouTube.
That seems like a good way to waste time in these troubled days.
Right.
What's my age again?
Okay, do it for every album we've talked about.
Sir, I want to buy these shoes. Daddy says there's not much time. It's Christmas Eve, and these shoes are just her size.
I rarely find things funny.
Yeah, I know. You're a giant sourpuss.
Oh, that's an odd visual imagery, right?
I don't know. I'm
not going to tell you what I'm picturing. But it's gross.
Lemon vaginas. I get it.
Ooh, no, I was going to say a cat vomiting buttermilk.
All right, song by song.
Track number 1, Losing a Whole Year.
This is a song about a breakup and general laziness, I guess.
Yeah, folks, if you thought we were past the albums where we talk incessantly about men who are, have been, or will soon be broken up with by a woman, sad to say, there's a lot of that going on this album.
Almost every song. There's occasionally a song about crystal meth or suicide, but other than that, it's all dashboard confessional.
But luckily, it's at least a little more upbeat and interesting.
So this song goes, I remember you and me used to spend the whole goddamn day in bed, losing a whole year. Hiding in your room, we'd lay like dogs, and the phone would ring like a joke that's left unsaid. They're just fucking high, right?
I was unsure. They're at least banging. I don't know if they're banging on drugs, which is cool, but maybe they're high on love, Tim. High on romance.
I don't know.
Lust.
It also says we'd lay like dogs.
Humping dogs.
Okay. What I was picturing is season 2 of Breaking Bad when Jesse and what's-her-face are just strung out and laying in bed.
Kristen Ritter. Yeah, they're laying in bed all day. They're definitely banging. I don't know if they're on drugs. I do want to point out the losing a whole year every time. You know what I thought of?
Christmas shoes?
No, you asshole. In the year 2000.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Fuck, for all I know, he still does it on his weird 30-minute show where he wears a denim jacket and a tie. What are you doing, Conan?
The woman in this song is apparently wealthy, or her father is wealthy, her daddy. A rich daddy left you with a parachute. Your voice sounds like money and your face is cute, but your daddy left you with no love. Now you want to try and live with sin. You want to be down with the down and in. It sounds like she's slumming with him, right?
Yeah, she's slumming with the poor, and he's figured it out. She's just adopting his lifestyle, but
he was raised in the shadows.
Right, she can leave anytime she wants. She doesn't have to stay in this shitty apartment.
No, she's a, loveless, money-grubbing robot.
Well, sure, but he also seems to want to take advantage of the fact that this rich girl wants to slum and experiment with him, right?
He's trying to get a little something out of the deal, too. You know, Tim, this is a bit of a side note. I'm looking at the lyrics you just read. These are Aerosmith lyrics. Okay, stick with me. And this is an Aerosmith impression. Never done it before. It's going to be bad. Bear with me. Rich daddy left you with a parachute. This is an Aerosmith song.
Yeah, it's not far
Interesting.
off. And he goes on to say, I took your stuff and put it in the basement when I found out what the smile in your face meant. I seen you pop that check, craning your neck at the car wreck.
I had a lot of questions. First, to me, putting someone's things in the basement does not send the message to go.
Right. I'm unclear if every song that's about a breakup or about losing somebody on this album is about the same person. If it is, and we'll get into this later, she's dead.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody in a later song is definitely dead, but that would make sense with the putting stuff in the basement.
Right. That's a good place to bury the dead. See John Wayne Gacy.
No, it's a bad place. You're hiding the stuff. You're getting it out of your room so that you don't see it every day.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yes, exactly.
Next question. When I found out what the smile on your face meant, I see you pop that check. Is he paying this woman?
No, I think it's just that she is rich.
Oh,
right?
It's a
Like
knowing smile that this is all just cute to her. It's role play. It's poor play.
Yeah.
This is poor play to her, but he's an unwilling participant, and that's not okay.
Well, because he's an actual poor person.
Right. That's non-consensual poor play.
This is why I say this is a very Dashboard Confessional-like song, because we had the Dashboard Confessional song, Again I Go Unnoticed, where it's basically about a guy lamenting the fact that his lady isn't into banging him anymore. This song goes on, and it always seems that the juice used to flow. In the car, in the kitchen, you were good to go. Now we're stuck with a tube, a sink full of dishes, and some aqua lube.
Wow.
She used to bang him in the car, she used to bang him in the kitchen, and now they're stuck watching TV because she's not interested anymore, and, you know, they need the lube because she's not interested anymore.
Boy, I'm shocked by you.
After dark?
No, not at all. This is an important topic for women's health, and I would have thought you'd be on the forefront, the tip of the spear, but that's fine. Lady listeners, I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to all the listeners. There is no shame in using a personal lubricant, Tim. Vaginal dryness is not an indication of emotional connection.
Oh, absolutely
Some women just need some support.
My point is specifically
that we should mock the dry vagina.
No. That's the reason for the dry vagina. Maybe that's just his interpretation of the situation. Maybe he is not as woke as you or as up on women's health. You have a lot of textbooks that deal almost exclusively, if not exclusively, with women's health. What's the deal with that?
They were here when we moved in. Did I read them? Sure. First, I was just using them to keep the couch beds even, because you started getting that linoleum out of the hallway and making your couch bed taller than mine. I will not give you the high ground.
But I've noticed you will not let me read them.
Listen, Tim, I don't want to cast aspersions, but I feel like you're just curious about the pictures. And I don't want to be explaining things to you.
I don't want you to explain things to me. Your information is suspect at best.
You just have to agree to disagree. If it's not the defense, then you're on the attack. When you start talking, I hear the Prozac. Now, Tim, I'm no Prozac expert, but I would be surprised. Can Prozac cause a combative attitude?
I don't know. I know it can cause sexual wellness issues.
Well, sure.
We are sponsored this week by Prozac, so I don't necessarily want to run through the whole gamut of side effects, although legally at the end of the show I am required to. But yes, I believe it can.
I really hope you don't forget to do that.
If we don't, I'm sure it won't be a legal issue on our end.
Listen,
I don't understand why we should have to even say the side effects. Your doctor should know. You can't get it without a prescription.
It's irresponsible.
Absolutely.
They go on, convinced you found your place with the pierced queer teens in cyberspace. So she's moving on to yet a new group after leaving the poor play behind because he found her out, right? She moves on to the internet, which was still brand spanking new in 1997, looking for other marginalized teens, in this case using the term pierced queers, making some generalizations.
Whoa. She's probably asking them ASL. You familiar with ASL?
I don't think so.
Oh, age, sex, locations. What,
Jesus, do not answer L.
It's what creeps on the internet will ask you.
I mean, who's falling for that?
It's 97. They didn't know.
Yeah. Anyway, this lady is Marla Singering.
Yes.
Now, why? I have no idea.
For the joy of getting to live in another person's life, to get to be a voyeur in their experience without actually having to take on any of the permanent baggage that accompanies being one of these internet teens or a poor person.
Wow. You seem to know exactly what she's up to.
It's not important. My
So
point
important.
is that over the past 10 years, I've been 6 to 8 people.
Like legally?
Oh, yeah, Garrett. I get a passport for each one of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly, Garrett. There's no legal ramifications here. I'm not going to sue you for saying this. I'm saying...
This is... Oh, God.
I'm saying I have many valid passports.
Under various names.
Right. I have legitimate social security numbers for each one of these identities, and I have used them to just check out what other people are into. Sometimes I'm wearing a jean jacket down on Sunset.
You've used them solely and entirely as inspiration to both wear a different attire and seek new employment.
Not employment, Garrett. I just bum around other communities.
Oh, lifestyles.
Yeah, I lived on a commune for the better part of 2006. You remember when I was missing for 3 months?
I didn't notice, but I'll take your word for it.
That's rude and kind of hurtful, I assumed. Anyway, I was living in Oregon on a compound. I didn't care for it, honestly.
Did you feel somewhat detached from the group when you do these sorts of things, or do you fully invest? Do you do this all with an earnest and open spirit? You're guileless.
Yeah, I get into it. I want to know how they feel. I want to really vacation in their life.
Interesting. It's admirable, Tim, and it would certainly explain the lack of forward momentum in your career or emotional development. But I'm curious, has any single group or organization stood out to you as particularly interesting or terrifying?
Oh, I've hated every one of them, Garrett. Other people are awful. Don't learn about other people. Don't make other friends. Don't reach outside of yourself. It's not worth it. But this lady seems to like it, and I kind of envy her a little bit.
Here's a hypothetical for you. Woman of your dreams, like a real babe-a-roo.
You say babe-a-roo. Does she have some sort of pouch where she carries her young?
What? No, not like a kangaroo. No, focus on the exercise. Girl of your dreams. Picture like a Mary Steenburgen or like an Annette Bening.
I don't know who any of these people are.
An older Angela Lansbury.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Tom Brady.
Yep.
Everything
he
you
moved
could
into Derek
want.
Jeter's house, Garrett. How fantastic is that?
Is Jeter still there?
No, I think he's renting it to him. I assume he comes by, though, maybe play pool.
What are you?
Track number 2, Narcolepsy. Let me read the band's meaning of this song.
Okay.
It's about nightmares I was having, and I wrote down some ideas, played some chords. I was talking about this sleep post-paralysis where you're awake, but your brain isn't quite awake. It's that feeling like you're dying or suffocating. None of us were too deeply disturbed, so the album is not necessarily autobiographical. It kind of derails itself at the end there, but we often discuss what kind of monsters these bands may be combating or giving into or embodying. I propose Third Eye Blind is haunted by a Freddy Krueger or Freddy Kruegers, or is it Freddy's Krueger?
No, it's not like Secretaries of State. I think it's Freddy Krueger's.
Okay.
God damn it, I think it might be Freddy's Krueger.
So in the intro, I'm on a train, but there's no one at the helm, and there's a demon in my brain who starts to overwhelm. It seems like he's falling asleep. He's entering into a nightmare.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Then the chorus goes, and I say, I try to keep awake. So he's attempting to not fall asleep. I try to swim beneath. I try to keep awake, but I can feel this narcolepsy slide into another nightmare. So this is a person who knows that as soon as he goes to sleep, he's going to be in a nightmare, but as long as he can keep himself awake, he's safe.
Do you think there's people in the world that just have chronic nightmares?
Oh, absolutely. And you get one with narcolepsy. Again, I think there's probably people that are haunted by Freddy's Krueger.
You think so?
I do not believe in sharks, but I do believe in Freddy Krueger monsters. Metaphorically, of course. I'm not an idiot. Verse 2, to continue this, and there's a demon in my head who starts to play a nightmare tape loop of what went wrong yesterday. And I hold my breath till it's more than I can take, and I close my eyes and I dream that I'm awake. So in his dream, he is aware of this situation. He's aware that there's a demon there, and he is actively trying to wake himself up. This all seems like a Nightmare on Elm Street.
You have a very legitimate reading here. When we get to the part where there's a demon in his head who starts to play a nightmare tape loop of what went wrong yesterday, I took that to mean that he has a bunch of stress and regrets from the previous day that manifest themselves as bad dreams every night.
We all do, but there's no demon in my head that does it. It's just my brain.
There's also a chance, Tim, so he's got narcolepsy and he's got nightmares. What if you had severe narcolepsy, he's just trying to squeeze little bits of life into those brief moments he's awake before he just falls asleep again. And if you're constantly falling asleep and waking up, and half the time when you're asleep, you're being attacked by Freddy's Krueger, you don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. That would be maddening, because I think you read earlier, and there it goes, my last chance for peace. You lay me down, but I get no release. That could easily be him trying to have sex in the brief moments he has before he falls asleep again and is haunted by a scarred pedophile.
Again, Freddy Krueger is who we're referring to here. Watch the movie.
There's so many movies.
Yeah, watch the first one. It's got Matt Damon
And Larry Fishburne.
Yeah, that's before he was a fancy Lawrence. It's got Lawrence Fishburne or Larry Fishburne. It's got Johnny Depp and it's got Matt Damon in it.
Matt Damon's not in it.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Oh, yeah, Garrett.
I don't think so. I think you're lying.
Anyway, verse 3 alternates between pretentious and just plain baffling.
Yes.
I read dead Russian authors, volumes at a time. I write down everything except what's on my mind. Because my greatest fear is that sucking sound. And then I know I'll never get back out. What does my greatest fear is that sucking sound mean?
I think the whole time that the demon in his brain has been booze, because he goes on to explain, and I'll buy you a beer and we'll drink it deep because that keeps me from falling asleep. So could still be the Freddy's Krueger, and just drinking keeps him from falling asleep and being tormented by that horribly scarred man who lived in a boiler room.
If you drink to the point that you pass out, you're not really asleep. Like neurologically, it's not exactly the same thing. You're passed out. You're not sleeping per se.
Well, here's a question, Tim. If you're drunk when you go to sleep and you have dreams, is Freddy Krueger also drunk in that dream?
No, he's not a figment of your imagination. He is an outside presence that has entered your dreams. So he is unaffected by your state of mind. He's real and he's in those dreams. The bridge of this song is a sinister threat, Garrett.
So, okay, bring it on.
How'd you like to be alone and drowning? How'd you like to be alone and drowning? How'd you like to be alone and drowning? How'd you like to be alone and drowning?
I want to believe that it's a terrible pickup line to ask if a woman wants to come home with him and slowly kill herself with alcohol as well.
Then you shouldn't mention the alone part, because that just seems
together.
like
we could stay young forever.
Okay, god damn it, stop Fallout boying. I will admit this is my fault. I have been playing this song constantly, putting it in our CD alarm clock. I've had to buy probably, what would you say, 10, 15 copies though?
No, Tim, it's been at least 24 days.
Oh.
I know exactly how many days it's been. Been 24 days, 24 copies. It just keeps going. Where are you getting them? Did you have them? You clearly already had them, but I never find the boxes.
It's weird too that they're CD singles. I thought you'd really appreciate the detail work on that. You can't change it to a different song. It's just that song. Track number 3, Semi-Charmed Delighted.
I'm packed and I'm holding, I'm smiling, she living, she golden, she lives for me, says she lives for me.
AKA?
Spin Doctor's Two Princes?
Of course it is.
Yeah, it took me a week to figure that out, but I'm glad I did, because it's exactly that song. I will say this, the doo-doo-doos can go fuck themselves.
Oh, I have no problem with them. I have no problem with this song. It's soaked in nostalgia for me. In fact, I enjoyed this song even more because for the very first time, I now know what this song is about.
Yes, and we will get into that, but let me try and ruin the doo-doo-doos for you.
Okay.
Stefan said that this song, specifically the doo-doo-doo parts, were a response to Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side.
I mean,
No, don't try to defend that.
I love that it's a response.
Oh, yeah.
Like anyone was just like, hey, Third Eye Blind, what do you think of that song?
Well, really,
What?
it's a 2-decade-long conversation between Lou Reed and Third Eye Blind. The goal for our show should be to figure out what Lou Reed's song responding to this is so we can get the full breadth of their conversation. Their
Maybe
decades-
Texas Toast should respond to Third Eye Blind.
Just a big fuck you to this song?
No, Tim. Texas Toast is a fun-loving modern country band that incorporates elements of hip-hop and rap music into modern country.
Right, but the most important thing that we are about is product placement.
That's right. Goddamn right. Making $1 out of this thing. But sure, Tim, I'm just, I'm brainstorming. Things are coming to mind right now, but we can work with this. What's got a do at the front? What product could we synergize with? Do donuts.
Yeah, there you go. We could do like a heavy-duty truck.
Okay, I like where you're at now. Here we go. What does country music mean more to anyone than Mountain Dew? You can take my life, you can take my freedom, but you just can't take my Mountain Dew.
Do-do-do. Anyway, so the point is, that's fucking pretentious of them.
Of all the things to comment upon in this song, which we're about to talk about that's fascinating, he felt the do's were the part he should break down.
Right. I assume that you, like me, were unaware that this was about meth.
No idea.
Question before we go on. Is this song pro or anti-meth?
Ooh, well, that's a tough one, Tim. It's certainly romanticizes it. Let's say this, it takes you on the journey of meth. It's honest.
Yes.
Nobody's doing drugs because they suck.
Right.
People keep doing drugs because they suck, but they start doing drugs because they're awesome.
Yeah. You'll never see a billboard for pot or heroin. People just find it on their own.
I've seen billboards.
No, those are anti. The beginning of this song, verse 1, seems like Stefan Jenkins is trading meth for oral sex, allegedly, or possibly just the protagonist of this song.
Ooh, interesting. I wasn't sure if this was a tit for tat or if they were just getting high as fuck and then she was sucking him off.
Okay.
He says,
After
I'm
dark.
packed. Oh, well, listen, his words, not mine.
No, it's not his words.
We'll see. I'm packed and I'm holding, I'm smiling. She's living, she's golden. She lives for me. She comes round and she goes down on me and I make her smile like a drug for you.
So you skipped a line in there. It says, she's living, she's golden, she lives for me. And then immediately after that, he says she lives for me. She comes over, she's all smiles because she knows he has that meth. She goes down on him, performs oral sex on him. And
Please, Tim, oral fellatio.
Yes, oral fellatio on him. And then she gets her meth. He is interpreting it. He's saying, and I make her smile like a drug.
Okay.
He's not making her smile. The drugs are. Maybe he's unaware that he is trading meth for the oral fellatio, as you called it. But either way, that's what's happening. He is thinking that she is smiling for him like a drug, but really she's smiling for the drug.
Oh, for you
because
being
it's
meth.
a drug.
Okay, interesting. I have no better reading, so I will just defer to you.
Let's just do that for the rest of the episode.
Can't be an episode policy. Do ever what you want to do. Coming over you, keep on smiling. What we go through, one stop to the rhythm that divides you. She smiles as he, and I want to put this very delicately.
Oh, God. After dark, ahead of time, I apologize for what's about to come, probably.
What? Tim, I'm looking for the right delicate language. Glazes her face.
Okay, you could have
With
said...
his seed.
Okay, you know what? That makes it better.
All right, thank you. Wait, I'm sorry. What could I have said?
No, you know what?
Gives her his gift upon her chin? That's worse, Tim. You're gross. Don't be gross. So anyway, he glazes her with his seed, and she smiles, but that's because she's all ripped up on meth.
And then there's a part, our protagonist falls asleep mid-coitus while inside of somebody. He sings, how do I get back there to the place where I fell asleep inside of you? How do I get myself back to the place where you said, I want something else? Here's my reasoning that I think this might be pro-meth. I'm not sure if he is saying he wants to use meth as some sort of sexual enhancement, basically just so he can stay awake throughout the entire act. The other reading might be he's saying he would prefer to go back to the version of himself that was less wired or tweaky, where he could just do what we all want to do and fall asleep inside of another human being.
No.
It's like being back in the womb, Garrett. It's all warm and protective around you.
I am gagging.
I'm not saying this, Garrett. Stefan is saying this. Third Eye Blind is saying this. It's a horrible song, Garrett.
I don't know how I ever missed this, Tim, and I'm glad to hear you missed it too. They overtly say, doing crystal meth will lift you up until you break. It won't stop. I won't come down. I keep stock with a tick-tock rhythm, a bump for the drop, and then I bumped up. I took the hit that I was given, then I bumped again, then I bumped again. He just talks about doing a shit ton of meth.
The way he sings it in the song is completely legitimate to have missed it.
Correct.
There might be a reference to the concept we've discussed that both parties have to agree to a breakup for a breakup to be legitimate.
Yes, but it's really only a one-way street. Technically, the woman is the official mediator of the breakup.
He literally says, I'm not listening when you say goodbye. He's saying, I do not agree to this breakup. We are still together until we both decide to break up.
Okay, well, we got to put it in context, right?
It goes, I want something else to get me through this semi-charmed kind of life. Baby, I want something else. I'm not listening when you say goodbye.
To me, I'm hearing, you know what? I don't want this life anymore. So you're leaving? That's fine. I don't know if it necessarily get clean, but I think he wants a different life. So when she's leaving, he's like, fuck it. I don't care. Go. He says, those days you were wearing that velvet dress, you're the priestess. I must confess those little red panties, they passed the test. Tim, if you can explain this, I'd love to hear it. So slide up round the belly face down on the mattress 1. So he says those little red panties, they passed the test. He can see her underpants. She's in a dress, some sort of velvet dress. He wants to have the intercourse. So he says slide up around the belly face down on the mattress. mattress. I've always tried to picture this. I know it's wrong, but I think he's asking her to pull her underwear up.
As one does for intercourse.
Yeah, that can't be right. Up over her shoulders and maybe down the other leg. I don't know. That can't be right? By the end of this, Tim, I'm super curious when they sing, feel myself hovering off the ground. I'm scared. I'm not coming down. And I won't run for my life. She's got her jaws locked down in a smile, but nothing is all right. I think he's pro-meth, but just very honest about the side effects of too much meth.
I can live with that.
And I think he even has enough self-reflection to say, like, this is not great. I would like this to either go back to the way things used to be, or I would even take no meth over this, because this lady seems to have some sort of locked up smile like a Joker's rictus grin. That's not sexy.
No, it is not. I just want to mention this was the #1 modern rock song on the Billboard charts for 1997, and it was also the 17th best-selling song of the year overall.
Track number 4, Jumper.
Step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties.
Confession time, Tim.
Oh my god.
No, oh God. No. I misheard the main lyrics to this song my entire life until this week. I thought it was, wish you would step out from that ledge. I thought this was pro-suicide.
That actually kind of sounds familiar.
Most
I
people are
wish you would
anti-suicide.
step out from that. Yeah.
Sounds better. Should have been pro-suicide.
Let's start off with this. This is an Oasis song.
Oh yeah, totally. So Stefan Jenkins says that this song is about a friend who's gay jumping off a bridge and killing themselves. It's not specific or tied to any one particular experience.
Right, but also a friend of the band. But not like a single person. You know how you have that friend that's really an amalgamation of a bunch of different friends and also doesn't exist?
A lie, yes.
Yeah, that's what this song is.
This song is a lie.
He also makes it kind of about himself. He says, my parents divorced and that hurt me. I was dyslexic and had ADD, which I still have, so I carried all these things with me. One afternoon, I had this epiphany. I said, you know what? I don't have it all together. I come from stuff that's really difficult. That's me. That's who I am. I embrace that.
So it's about a non-specific friend who's gay committing suicide because they can't tell anyone? Or is it about his rough childhood that is in no way referenced in this song?
It's about words that rhyme.
That sounds right.
Verse 1, the angry boy a bit too insane, icing over a secret pain, you know you don't belong, you're the first to fight, you're way too loud, you're the flash of light on a burial shroud. I looked into that. I think that's a reference to the Shroud of Turin.
That's a very specific shroud, but it's also the only burial shroud I know of.
And it's the only one crazy people will say has an image burned into it by a flash of light.
To be fair, they also think that it was on Jesus's face, so a flash of light burning that on there, not so crazy.
Okay, I guess if you're willing to take several steps, sure, not that crazy. The point is, it's a
Well,
weird...
they also think he moved a rock and stepped out of a cave and ascended to the sky.
Sure, if you're willing to take all those steps, which of course I am, because that's all true, not that crazy. But I also think the Shroud of Turin might be bullshit, like sharks. It's also a very strange reference to have in this song.
It is.
Especially because it doesn't seem to mean anything.
Yeah, that is kind of odd, because the rest of it is at least painting a picture of somebody who's overcompensating, or at the very least has a short temper because they've got secrets. The song also continues, I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend.
I think you're right. I wish you would step out from that ledge, my friend. It's step out. I don't care what these lyrics say. You're right. I have heard it wrong, apparently, this whole time.
It's pro-suicide. But, of course, the song reads, you could cut ties with all the lies you've been living in, which, again, to me, sounds like you're saying, you know what? You've been living a fucking lie this whole time, making everyone around you miserable. Why don't you step out from that ledge? And if you do not want to see me again, which would happen after you plummet 16 stories into concrete, he would understand.
I think what happened here, they just said the word out poorly in the lyrics and then retroactively changed it to back. You've convinced me. Yes.
Not my intention.
If you take it with the meaning that it's ascribed to, it's an anti-suicide song. It has a good message overall. It's about facing your demons and telling everyone what your specific demons are so that you don't have to hide them anymore. And on that note, Garrett, quick pop quiz. What are your top 3 demons? Go. Or just the top 3 worst things you've ever done. I'll accept that as well.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm not going to say they're the top 3. I will say they are 3 in the top 10 because it's so hard to rank When I was 6, I left the back gate open and our 11-year-old golden retriever Neil ran away. I blamed it on my sister. What else? Two other things I once was leaving the World Trade Center and did not hold the door for Jeff Goldblum. I just didn't see him.
I remember was it May 2011? You took like a 3-hour trip to Pakistan for business you wouldn't really tell me about.
I don't know whether or not I was in Pakistan in May of 2011. I have done business with people from Pakistan.
Okay, sure, but it was a 3-hour trip. It's just a real quick in and out from a neighboring country. And you came back and you said, I didn't accomplish my mission, therefore I can't be charged with treason. Something about like protecting someone, something about someone just being a bit misunderstood.
No. At first I thought you were putting me on SEAL Team 6. Now I understand that you're putting me on the compound that's supposed to defend Osama bin Laden. I hate you.
You were so ready to steal that valor, though.
Absolutely. No.
For the record, though, you could 100% still be tried for treason for that.
Right, but I didn't do that.
Right, again, you did do it, but you went there to try.
I did not in any way support terrorism or organizations that are in any way related to terrorism. You, sir, your jokes, they get people put on islands. Please stop. Continuing on with the song, I know something's wrong. Well, everyone I know has got a reason to say, put the past away. We all have reasons for starting over.
Put the past away, Garrett. Just never mention it publicly again.
Right, Gordon.
Shut up. All right.
Second misheard line on this song my entire life. Everyone's got to face down the demons. Maybe today you could put the past away. I thought it was everyone's got two-faced diamond demons. It's not that.
Right. Yeah, you can't defend that one nearly as easy as you can defend that 100% true earlier one.
Sure, but I mean, come on.
Diamond dogs or diamond demons. It's a Bowie thing.
Yeah, I thought it could have been a Bowie reference.
Right, and they're making references to Lou Reed, who's saying they're not making Bowie references.
I would say it's arguably a more cogent reference to David Bowie than it is Lou Reed.
Neither are apt.
Right, because I'm just mishearing things like an asshole. Track number 5, Graduate.
I do hate this song. It's an empowering anthem for scumbags, I think.
Yeah, this was in every fucking television show and movie that year. It sounds a little like a Poor Man's Pixies mixed with just a dash of Stone Temple Pilots. They open the song by asking, will the song live on long after we do? Will the song live on? Can I graduate? They want to leave a legacy, right? They want to be remembered after they're gone. They say, can I look at faces that I meet? Can I get my punk ass off the street? I've been living on for so long. Can I graduate? They want to improve their station in life. Now, this is where things get a little weird. So far, I'm tracking. I don't hate this song yet. I at least understand what the fuck we're talking about, but echo fading, we can't let go. She goes walking by in slow-mo. Sell your heart out for $1. It sounds to me like echo fading, we can't let go. She's walking by in slow-mo. Sounds like a woman leaving him. Sell your heart out for $1, though. Sounds like he's chastising her for doing the exact same thing he wants to do.
Possibly. It could also be about an emotional prostitute. I don't know if you've ever indulged in one of those.
I have not. Please explain. Emotional prostitute.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't compute.
A prostitute you pay to have sex with you. An emotional prostitute is somebody that you pay to do everything but have sex with you. You know, so you have a nice dinner with her. Maybe you cook together. You have a nice Christmas. She comes to meet the family. You open presents. You have a nice 4th of July. You go sit on a blanket on the grass and watch fireworks.
But you don't have sex.
Never have sex, no.
Can you pay them extra?
No. She's an emotional prostitute. She doesn't do that.
I get that. But evening's wrapping up. Here's an extra 1,000. Is that on the table or is that rude?
It's very rude, Garrett. She is a professional. She specializes in one thing. It would be like trying to date a normal prostitute.
I've heard that's possible.
Oh, sure it is. But you can't pay pay them to go on a date. They don't like that.
Oh, okay. Good point. No, they don't like that. Weird, right?
Yeah, if you hire a prostitute, you think, you're hiring her, she's going to do all sorts of weird things with you sexually. She should be up for going to a movie or something. I'm paying you $400 for an hour and a half comedy? Come on. That's a great deal. Or
Mr.
Really,
Deeds, but whatever.
Yeah,
I have poor taste, maybe.
what if you need reshingling your roof? I don't understand why you can't hire a whole stable of prostitutes to get up there in their weird high shoes and their mini skirts and that stupid jacket.
And start laying down some hardtack?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, I know you can't. I'm saying I don't know why not.
Because they won't do it, Tim. They'll do shoddy work.
If everyone was hiring prostitutes to do this, they'd learn how to do it. Get a second career there.
Yeah, but that's just the thing, Tim. They don't want it. They've chosen their career.
No,
they want the genital ramming.
Yeah, maybe. Can I give you a direct quote from Stefan about whether or not he gets tired of playing this at every concert?
Okay.
No, I'm not sick of it because the audience, they ignite off of it. I'm a vampire. They fill me with fresh blood. This is the first actual admission, Garrett. This whole time we've been right. Bands are feeding off of their listeners. We need to learn this secret. We have listeners. I have yet to feed off of a single listener.
Oh, I don't know if you want to feed off our listeners, Tim. Well, listeners, write in. Will you let Tim feed on you?
Please don't. And Nolan, Drew, maybe not this time.
Nolan, Drew, you know what to do. Please insert your favorite ideal listener for Tim to feed upon. Track number 6. How's it gonna be?
When you don't know me.
This is the same song as Losing a Whole Year.
Not as boring.
Sure, it's more upbeat, but it's the same song.
They're breaking up and it isn't going great. He's basically fantasizing through the entire song about what it's gonna be like when they break up. I wonder how it's gonna be when you don't know me. How's it gonna be when you're sure I'm not there? How's it gonna be when there's no one there to talk to? I thought it was weird that he says when you're sure I'm not there. What does that mean?
Well, you can never be sure, Garrett. He's a vampire.
No, wait,
Might
hold
always
on.
be
Who's a vampire?
Stefan.
Is this song about feeding? I
No,
thought you
no,
were
of course
feeding.
it's not. But it seems to be fantasizing about, a lot of people fantasizing about quitting in a big fashion, shitting on the boss's desk, slapping him, or, just screaming, I quit. You guys can go fuck yourself, and then shitting on the boss's desk. A lot of different ways. Maybe technically, legally, your boss doesn't have a desk. Maybe he has a couch bed or something. Shit on the couch bed.
Don't shit on my couch bed.
I'm not, because I don't recognize you as my boss. You are not my superior, even if technically you are the owner, and it pains me to say even that. My point is,
Tim, we're co-hosts.
how's it gonna be when I say out loud, I want to get out of this? He seems to be fantasizing about the joy he will get from finally just being like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay, the look on her face when she hears I'm done.
Right.
I
The
see.
look on her face when I metaphorically shit on her metaphorical desk, which is our relationship.
Or a literal desk. No better way to say move out than a desk covered in feces.
You're not going to get me to move out, Garrett.
I'm not going to poop anywhere but a toilet.
You heard it here first, folks. That is a Garrett Harvey guarantee. We've only had a couple of those on the show, but every time he does that, we actually have a wall in our house, the Garrett Harvey guarantee wall, and we write them up on the wall.
Yeah, well, we do a little more than just write them, Tim. We find a fresh piece of driftwood. Tim carves it into a tasteful penguin. And then he writes that promise on the bottom of the penguin, gives it a name, and then we put the penguin on the wall. This one will be named Nathan. The song continues, between you and me, because I don't care. How's it gonna be? And then he continues on with the how's it gonna be's for a while, but I think he's overplaying his hand a little bit, or possibly even setting himself for an alibi that may or may not come to be handy later when he's being very explicit that he's not there for sure, won't be there at this time.
It's always important to set alibis, even if you don't have any crime planned, but just always be setting up alibis. So at any point in time, if you do happen to commit a crime, you have the alibi. The one problem with doing that is if you're just like, oh yeah, no, tomorrow I'm going to be at the bank all day, and then that bank happens to get robbed and that was your alibi, it can kind of backfire.
Absolutely. That's why I've started wearing what I term the reverse body cam. It's a typical body cam, but I've got it pointed at me at all times, and I carry around a newspaper proving that it is the day that I say it is, and I just go about my daily business. I hardly even notice that the newspaper or the camera is even there.
You could probably lose the newspaper if you just live streamed that.
Boy, that's a really good point, Tim. But there are aspects of my day I don't really want to live stream.
Right, like what you do all day.
Well, technically, Tim, I can't discuss what I do.
Right, because it is
a breach of contract.
Treasonous, which technically is a breach of your contract with these United States as a citizen.
Tim, I will not go into any detail, but I will say Uncle Sam has no problem with what I'm doing.
Right, because you failed.
No, please stop painting me as a terrorist, for the love of God.
I'm not. You're a bodyguard. You're a hired goon that just happened to one time be hired by somebody that was an enemy of the state.
If that were a job, I am sure whoever has that job uses some sort of agency or clearinghouse that does a full background check on their clientele to ensure that something like what you're describing would never happen. But that's a hypothetical, and we shouldn't explore it any further.
Absolutely. Did you notice there was talk of tasting another person in this song?
I did notice that, and to their credit, they finally get it right. If people have a taste, there's only one thing it's going to be. Salty.
Yep. Sometimes sticky.
Sticky's not a flavor.
Fair enough.
Now, Tim, something very special caught my ear. The lyrics. Don't see lightning like last fall, when it was always about to hit me. Now, the inconsequential part is that this is yet another way that he's explaining that things are not like they used to be. Apparently, he was seeing a great deal of lightning last fall, and I thought it was kind of curious the way he says when it was always about to hit me. Now, I'm sure this is a metaphor for bad luck, but in case it isn't, I was curious, is there anybody who has ever been stalked by lightning? Well, Tim, that's how I learned about Roy Cleveland Sullivan, a United States Park Ranger in Shenandoah National Park in Virginia, that between 1942 and 1977 was hit by lightning 7 different times.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think one of those times he was hit by lightning while indoors.
Maybe. It was still a direct hit because he had an additional indirect hit that he didn't count, and he said it didn't seem fair. Now, Tim, to get struck 7 times by lightning and survive is interesting enough. However, Sullivan's wife was also once struck by lightning when a storm suddenly arrived while she was hanging clothes in their backyard. I did a little digging, and her husband was helping her at the time, but he escaped unharmed. It gets more interesting. The same gentleman who was struck by lightning 7 times and survived became incredibly scared of death, certain that he was being stalked by the Grim Reaper. Luckily, though, he did manage to live all the way until September 28th, 1983, when Sullivan died at the age of 71 of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Tormented uncontrollably by the fear that he would be struck by lightning again, it is claimed that he took his own life. It gets weirder. Officially, he shot himself over an unrequited love while lying next to his wife, who was 30 years younger, and allegedly did not notice his death for several hours.
So she and Lightning teamed up to finally finish him off.
Correct. Lightning got a partner. And ooh, Tim, if we ever start some sort of 70s style cop drama, Lightning is definitely one of the names of the cops, right?
Sure.
I mean, it can't be Thunder and Lightning.
No, of course not. Lightning and Roy Cleveland Sullivan.
You're terrible at naming 70s style cop dramas.
Track number 7. Thanks a lot.
She wears misfit and she's nervous when she speaks.
This is a male empowerment anthem. It seems to be about destroying the person you are dating to gain power for yourself, which is the hallmark of any good relationship, because as we all know, the point of any human interaction is to get a victory over the other person. Relationships are about power dynamics, and the most important thing is to never, ever let somebody else get the upper hand.
No, love and war, practically the same thing. It's just your ammunition. One uses bullets and one uses intimacy and secrets.
Yes, intimacy and secrets to hurt the other person.
No, to protect you from the other person hurting you. It's all kind of a
Right, but you have to hurt
mutually
them
assured
before
destruction.
they hurt you.
That
You gotta
explains
jump
a
on it.
lot. The song begins, it's all in your mind, she said, the darkness and the light. And that's what you're referencing, Tim, is she's downplaying it. She's saying there's no darkness and there's no big battle, some dramatic struggle between wrong and right going on inside him. And I think she's wrong.
She might be wrong. She might be also playing psychological mind games too. Maybe she's in on this. Maybe she understands the true purpose of relationships and she's playing too.
Maybe. He goes on, I woke you up and I slit the throat of your confidence and we laughed in the night and I felt all right.
People are never as vulnerable as they are if they're asleep and you just grab them by the shirt and just give them a good shake and be like, I was awake
To what
and you
end?
were asleep. I could have killed you. Remember that. And then you both laugh about it all long into the night and then you feel all right.
Yeah, maybe he routinely scares the ever-living shit out of her while she falls asleep. And then he has himself a good laugh and feels pretty good about himself.
Right. And, he laughs enough for two. So technically, if you average it out, they were both laughing in the night.
Yeah, they both had a great time.
That's how laughing works.
He continues, all hands on deck, boys, because the ship was made to sink. Your swabber salutes you now, but I know what he's thinking. Maybe the relationship is the ship always meant to sink?
I don't know. Once you start to get into sailor metaphors, you lose me entirely.
Well, yeah, because it's contrasted again by discussing how he slit her confidence's throat.
Honestly, all the metaphors in this song could use a little work.
What is clear, Tim, is that when he feels threatened, he goes right on back to dressing her down. He says the clothes she wears, misfit, and she's nervous when she speaks. Her zombie mom and dad live in a separate house of freaks. She comes from a broken home, she wears that goddamn Misfits t-shirt every day, and she can't make eye contact when she has a conversation.
Were you picturing a Misfits t-shirt or a inappropriately sized or just a shirt that doesn't really fit her well?
I actually pictured an oversized Misfit band shirt.
Oh, I did not.
Well, what did you picture?
I just pictured a shirt that didn't really fit very well, and she thought she was really pulling it off, but Garrett, she wasn't, and he let her know.
Oh, of course, because he needs to maintain that power dynamic. I'm the one for you, because I know all the dirty things you like to do. I'm the fear in your eyes. I'm the fire in your flies. I'm the sound that's buzzing around your head. I think this may be some sort of terrifying poem that he recites before he slits the confidence's throat.
I like the idea that he grabs her by the shirt in the middle of the night, just shakes her awake, and just recites the same thing, and she has no idea what it means. She's terrified to ask.
Does it end with a huge smile and a good night?
Track number 8, Burning Man.
All of my sloppy love doesn't matter.
This starts out gross, right? The rise and fall of my sloppy love, the smatterings and splatterings, they'll get you.
He's talking about his wiener.
I mean, I think it's worth knowing before you get in a relationship with Stefan, though. Like, there will be a series of stains. You're going to spend a fortune on dry cleaning. And I'm not saying it's not worth dating him, just that there's going to be some bills that you should know about beforehand.
Yeah, you should bring some of that plastic sheeting like a Gallagher concert. Listen, Tim, I'm not here to disparage passionate lovemaking that may or may not lead to various fluids. Again, I feel like you may be disparaging the use of personal lubricants.
Oh, no, of course not. There should be a little bit of precision. It shouldn't be just all sloppy. Smatterings and splatterings, they'll get you.
Well, as we're... That's true. I did like that part. Oh, they'll get you. So we're going to find out that this Burning Man lifestyle has so many more off-putting things than his sloppy love. He says, maybe you thought I'd call instead of crashing down your hall. So he's drunk as shit and he is arriving at her apartment at odd hours, ripping frames off the wall as he shouts her name. Jennifer!
Yeah, but in his defense, it's mostly because he can't balance or really see.
Oh, absolutely. Blue diamonds, strike them anywhere. First we caffeinate, then we incinerate. Back to meth, right?
No, absolutely, yeah. Although it's weird if you're lighting your meth with a match.
Yeah, I don't even know if you can do that, right? It's not like it catches a flame. You need a torch for that shit. Maybe it's the cigarette post-meth. I would imagine your throat's pretty burny.
Yeah, nothing helps that like cigarette smoke.
Yeah. Life is not to fear. Life is to enjoy. He'll get you. Oh, Mr. Death catches all someday.
I think he's saying, listen, life is short. Why would you want to spend the short amount of time a human being has on this planet not being super high on meth? Again, not my words, allegedly the words of Third Eye Blind.
So to be clear, in this song, somebody gets drunk, maybe a little high on meth, to even out, goes over to a woman's house he's only just recently met. Maybe they've gone on one date. I'm guessing a coffee. Ripping shit off the wall. He's knocking down the plants and then tries to convince her to do some meth, right? So that's roughly where we're at.
Yes.
And then the song ends with, baby, I thought you'd call or leave a light on in the hall. Why? You came to my house. You did meth in my living room. You were blackout drunk and I have to pay for those plants.
Well, in the future, it would be wise of her to leave a light on because that will at least reduce the amount of damage he causes on his way in.
Track number 9. Good for you.
This starts off like he's describing his way of luring someone in.
Oh, yeah.
Will you stay a while? My smile will not mislead you. 'Cause I've been alone, my faith turned to stone. Still, there's something in you that I believe in. Leave. Just leave.
Yeah, he's saying that this is just going to be a normal platonic relationship. I just want to be your friend. Is that okay? And that should be okay, but it's a lie. And she should know it's a lie. Come on.
The whole song has the nice guy vibe. The all I want to do is be there for you and for the things you're going through. And that probably translates into I would like to have sex with you. And you should want to have sex with me because I am very caring and I don't care about sex. I care about you. That's why you should want to have sex with me. This is not an attempt to have sex with you.
But I'm going to be furious if we don't.
Absolutely.
He continues, close to your pierce, which I do not know what that means. I go wild and fierce. Still I let you be. I feel you next to me. 'Cause inside I feel a wind that starts to blow. I'm taken in your undertow. So, he's a cauldron of sexual energy on the inside. But again, he's going to let her be. He's not going to make a move, Tim. He will not touch her on her pierce.
Yeah.
His words, not mine. And in this case, I have no idea what they are.
Honestly, I feel like it must be mistranscribed or misheard or something.
Probably.
This is the song that made me think that the person he's talking about, possibly for the whole album, is dead. This song might be about a ghost. He says,
wow.
Hey child, please stay a while. My smile will not mislead you. 'Cause I've been without. I go wild with doubt. I grab at you. I can't stop grabbing at you. Now that could be he's reaching out to try and touch her, the apparition, and his hand is just grabbing air.
Sure. Well, he goes on, he says, there's nothing wrong, just don't take too long. I think she's alive, and I think he's saying he didn't attack her earlier where he starts grabbing at her. It didn't happen. That's what he'd like to do. He almost did it, and then he just pretended to sneeze. But he's saying, there's nothing wrong, just don't take too long. She cannot keep waiting around to figure out how great he is for not wanting to have sex with her. She needs to acknowledge that and reward him with the sex. Again, not my thoughts, words, sentiments, or ideas talking about the song.
It's about a ghost.
Don't want to rule it out.
Track number 10, London. This feels like a perfect marriage between James Hillier Blount and Dashboard Confessional.
I concur.
All right, track number 11.
I'll fucking do it. Let's go quickly. Through the satellites, I fight with you. That local brew is spilling. I know just how you spend your time. I want to get my hands on him. First of all, it's 1997. I know they're in London. Do you know how expensive a fucking cell phone call must have been?
Yeah.
To have a petty argument while he chases her around town, accusing her when she may or may not be banging other guys?
Well, I think that he is saying he's spying on her.
Oh.
Possibly with the satellites. I mean, it could be a cell phone, sure. Probably is. But he believes that she is on a date with somebody else or that because he wants to get his hands on somebody.
It's a number of different gentlemen as he sees her throughout the city. You know, she goes to some sort of local pub. He mentions, I'm tired of chasing after you. The residue is jealous. Now, I'm not sure if he's implying that she's leaving some sort of thick sludge-like residue throughout the city as she moves from port to port,
sure,
banging various men. But it definitely does imply that she's going out all over town and partying hard and may or may not be enjoying the company of gentlemen. And he's angry about it, Tim. He wants to get his mitts on him and just rip him apart.
I think there's a chance that this whole thing is happening inside of his head. He's saying, listen, I don't want to go to London. Stop trying to make me to go to London. But if I don't go to London, you're definitely going to bang somebody else. So I have to go to London, but I really
So he's
don't want to
wrestling internally?
Absolutely. He's weighing whether or not he's okay with her sleeping with somebody else, which he definitely believes she's going to, versus just not going to London because he does not want to go. But then verse 3, he says, I saw you with him. I know where you've been. That nose is broken wide open. Your way has got me out of line. I want to get my hands on him. You're so sick to make me prove it takes a fight to move you. Maybe she's using this guy to get his attention. But
these guys.
Again, he only says it in the singular, so I can't say any more than that. We never go beyond what's actually in the lyrics on this show. But yeah, he seems to really want to fight this dude.
There was a line in here that stood out to me. I see the way your face has changed. We're no good for each other. Is this a reference to perhaps tarot reading or a low handing of the face where one ages dramatically in a short period of time due to excessive partying?
No, I think it's a change of expression. New science is showing that you can, in some way, interpret what a person is thinking based on the expression on their face. A lot of times, internal beliefs and thoughts can subconsciously, sometimes intentionally, manifest themselves on a person's face. It's almost a form of nonverbal communication. So he might be referencing that.
This is new science.
It is, yes. It's cutting edge.
Oh, I don't want to fight you.
They used to measure people's heads.
You talking about phrenology?
Yeah, that's old science. This is new. This is dynamic.
Track number 11, I Want You.
I think he's going to kill.
I have a very unique reading of this song. First, I want to point out that musically, for me, this song sucks. Some of them I can enjoy to some degree, but this one just blows. Now, Tim, I think that this is a special song, a carny anthem about a man falling in love with the girl that runs the booth just across the way in the Midway. The song begins, those suckers lose themselves in the games they learn to play. Children love to sing, but their voices slowly fade away. So you got the kids out at the fair, you got the suckers, the rubes, if you will, losing their money on the various games, and this guy's loading kids in and out of the zipper all day.
Oh, you love the zipper.
She's looking at him from, your zipper, your Gravitron 2000, whatever you got. And she's looking back the other way. Maybe she's working the bottles there with the rings. He sings, I want you. Oh, you do, you do, you do, you do. You do, you do, you do, you do. You're making me want you. So she makes him want him in the worst kind of way with his mullet, his jean jacket vest, and his pack of Marlboro Lights. Now, Tim, did you get a you do count?
I didn't.
38 you do's.
And there's a couple of I do's, too.
Of course, but who could bother? An open invitation to the dance. Happenstance set the vibe that we are in. No apology because my urge is genuine. Fate put them there, Tim. He didn't ask to run the Gravitron that day, and she's there handing out stuffed animals and plastic harmonicas, and they're just gazing into each other's eyes. And yeah, he has a huge boner, but he's not going to apologize for that urge. It's genuine. That's real love.
Okay, we'll take all of that. This is about a nice gentleman meeting a nice lady while they both work at a carnival.
Love it.
The village churchyard is filled with bones weeping in the graves. The silver lining of clouds shines on people Jesus couldn't save.
I mean, let's finish it out. You want to know how deeply my soul goes? Deeper than bones. You're probably wondering what I think about that.
Once, yeah.
This is what I expect from a carny. That is romance, or he's gonna murder her.
Well, that can also be romantic to a carny.
Oh, for sure.
And we have a lot of carny listeners. I shouldn't even say that. That's kind of a derogatory term. They have a lot of free time when they're working their booths. They like to listen to podcasts while they do, and we appreciate you. Again, it's not you, but like there's always that guy that works at a carnival. Not you.
Sure. You have the intelligence and sophistication to be listening to our show. We don't mean you. However, Tim, I do want to say we do appreciate our carny listeners, but I'm shocked to learn that carnival workers are using their free time to listen to podcasts.
Well, it's not their free time. They're working.
They're on the clock.
They're running the booth.
But how much effort could that take? It's just complex machinery that houses children's souls.
Okay. I see what you've done. There's also a line in this song I really fixated on. It goes, "There'll be no regrets when the worms come." Very early in the week, possibly day 2, I wrote down, I bet some poor bastard got a tattoo of that line. And then I forgot about it until yesterday when I decided I'm going to Google it. I'm sure no one did. Oh,
So many people.
First of all, I just Googled that line, and there's a lot of people that seem to have gotten it tattooed on the top of their feet. Probably some of our listeners, and that's fine. But then I went on just looking up lyric tattoos from Third Eye Blind. So many people thought that was a great idea. Like, I went down this huge rabbit hole. A little PSA here. Getting a tattoo, a lyric tattoo, specifically of Third Eye Blind lyrics, that's never a good idea. Think of Garrett's poetry. There was a time 20 years ago, probably.
Yeah, thereabouts.
20 years ago, he thought that all of those statements were meaningful and not to be mocked. If you get a lyric tattoo of a band you like now, I can almost guarantee that you will hate that band and those words in 5 years. Don't do that. If you need a band tattoo, just get a tattoo of the 311 logo and you'll regret that less.
Listeners, write in. Show us your 311 tattoos. One of the funnier ones I saw was Elton John. It was a tramp stamp, and it said, "My word is my song. This one's for you." And it spanned this girl's entire back. And I wanted to ask her so badly, why? What is this? But, it would have been inappropriate.
Sure. And we are not condemning lower back tattoos, and we're not condemning tramps or stamps. Either way,
no,
we're pro both.
We love promiscuity here on the Why I Hate This Album podcast.
Okay, again, you're phrasing it in a weird way. We encourage you to live your truth, whatever that truth is. You will get no judgment from us. Unless you
Absolutely
make bad
not.
music, in which case,
Sure.
a little bit of judgment.
Track number 12, The Background.
Obviously, the key to this song lies in the single line, "I don't see you anymore since the hospital," right?
Well, yeah, let's work our way to that. Everything is quiet since you're not around, and I live the numbness now. She's gone. He lives a very quiet and boring, almost emotionless life. I do things we did before. I walk Hate Street to the store, and they say, "Where's the crazy girl?"
First of all, no, they don't. If he's still with her, he's going to be pissed that they're calling her crazy girl. If he's not, he's going to be bummed out that he lost the crazy girl.
Exactly. But then he goes even further, Tim. He says, "You don't get drunk on red wine and fight no more. I don't see you anymore since the hospital. Did they break up? Was there an accident?"
The two options are she left of her own volition or she's dead. Or in a coma, maybe.
There's always room for a coma.
I mean, I think this song is about somebody he got killed, maybe in a motorcycle accident, maybe drug overdose. It's unclear. I think she died or was injured severely enough that she cut all ties with him. I think he's in a little bit of denial. I think she's that ghost from before. And all of these songs about breakups, he's phrasing them as breakups, but it's because he got this girl killed. Again,
Interesting.
not Stefan Jenkins, the protagonist of the album, the fictional character.
I think he did get her killed. I don't think it was a motorcycle accident. I'm with you 100%. The only small change I want to make is I think she was attacked by a crocodile.
Okay.
And it's his fault.
Garrett, if anyone is ever attacked by a crocodile, it is Third Eye Blind's fault.
I don't know if that's true.
They introduced crocodiles to Florida. And while they were touring, they let a few crocodiles go and...
They trafficked in illegal Nile crocodiles
Absolutely.
and released them into the wild.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Now I think he's in denial. He says, "The plans I make still have you in them, because you come swimming into view," sort of ghostly imagery there, "and I'm hanging on your words like I always used to." I think it's a ghost, Garrett.
Sure, they got drunk on the Sea-Doo. She was terrified. He said it'd be fine. They hit a heavy brake. She bops off the back. Pow! Crocodile.
I like to think that the crocodile didn't jump up and get her. He was just sitting there with an open mouth, and maybe that spooked Stefan, so he hit the brakes and that flipped her off the back.
Flung over the top.
Directly into the gaping maw of that crocodile.
And Tim, she hung on for a few days. He says, words they come and memories all repeat. I lift your head while they change the hospital sheets. And let's be honest, Tim, at that point, she was mostly just a head.
I never even considered the fact that it maybe only went down to like neck or shoulders.
And I would never lie to you. No, I would never lie to you. No. So listen, Tim, you and I are not nearly as close as these two seem to be. But if I was in any way responsible for you being mostly consumed by a crocodile, I would console you and I would tell you you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. In reality, of course, you can't live if you're just basically a head, neck, and shoulders.
Sure, I'm going to haunt the shit out of you, by the way.
You've mentioned that repeatedly.
Yeah, I've got all sorts of plans. Track number 13, Motorcycle Drive-By.
But you never see it happen.
Super low-key song, not how I want my third eye blind.
I think a lot of people love these last two songs.
I'd never heard it.
I've heard this song. It's very low-key, you're right. It's kind of an acoustic thing. It might be about a long-distance relationship. Maybe instead of not wanting to go to London, now he doesn't want to go to New York. Possibly this is about a motorcycle accident that killed his girlfriend. Possibly, hear me out, maybe he saw that alligator in the middle of a street, slammed on the brakes, and she flew off of a motorcycle.
It's a Jaws situation. Crocodiles are just as deadly on dry land. If you do find yourself chased by a crocodile, it is important to move in a broad serpentine pattern. Turning is your friend.
Sure, crocodiles and alligators both are very fast on land as well. They look lazy, they're not.
God, no. So you're saying it is like a Jaws situation, or possibly son of Jaws, where the crocodile or child of previous crocodile has hunted this man once more from a small lake outside of Tampa to the big city.
It might have followed him from San Francisco there. We don't know how far their crocodile seeding plot has gone.
He says, it crashes through the windows and I'm sleeping on the couch. When I came to visit you, that's when I knew I could never have you. He did come to visit a woman in New York City. He clearly came to bang her. Realized that's probably not going to happen. Don't know if he was looking for a long-term relationship, but I did get the general impression that maybe they had already been together previously, and they might have even banged that night, but she did ask that he sleep on the couch. She wasn't really ready for that level of intimacy. He says, visions of you on a motorcycle drive-by. Cigarette ash flies in your eyes, and you don't mind, you smile. Apparently, they did have some sort of previous relationship, and this was maybe some last chance move to save it, and he's reminiscing about those times where she was super into him and he was allowed to ash in her eyes. But he continues. And so, this is our last time. We'll be friends again. I'll get over you. You'll wonder who I am. Is that, and this is our last time, we'll be friends again, it's the last time we will be friends? Or this is our last time as intimate lovers and we'll be friends again after this?
The you'll wonder who I am makes it sound like he doesn't really ever think he's gonna see her. Like, this is over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after this ill-fated trip out to New York City, he goes home. I go home to the coast. It starts to rain. I paddle out on the water alone. Taste the salt and taste the pain. I'm not thinking of you again. Going for a bit of a private paddle. Does not sound great.
No, I think he betrays himself a little bit because he says, taste the salt, I'm not thinking of you. When we know that she tastes of salt, I think he is thinking of her.
And the song ends, the sun goes down in my eyes. See this rolling wave, darkly coming to take me home. Tim, I think he tips that boat.
I think he's just paddling out to sea and just paddling out into the night. Just, he starts off on an afternoon kayak, and before he knows it, he's been paddling west for 6-7 hours. It's getting close to midnight.
How terrifying.
It really is. Track number 14, God of Wine.
Crashing through the headlights of a car that took you far.
They got a lot of fucking nerve ending an album that is 14 tracks long with a 5-minute song.
I couldn't agree more. It's also the same goddamn song that's been on this album like 3 times already. It's about, we're all fucking alcoholics, we're addicted, we're codependent, we're maybe breaking up. I just don't care.
Yeah, it's tough. Let's get through it quick. Every thought that I repent, there's another chip you haven't spent, and you're cashing them all in. Where do we begin to get clean again? He's trying to make amends to the people that he's wronged. He says the God of Wine comes crashing through the headlights of a car that took you farther than you thought you'd ever want to go. We can't get back again.
Right there, that's her death. The god
Could
of
be.
wine in the car.
Definitely a car crash related to alcohol.
Sure, and he is saying the god of wine because he does not want to take responsibility for being the drunk driver. Not me. It's the drunk guy. The guy I turn into when I'm drunk. And she's dead, and she's a ghost. Eaten by a crocodile. Okay, let me ask you this. If you were eaten by a crocodile such that the only remaining part of you is at most shoulders up, so you're essentially a human bust statue, right?
Yes.
When you become a ghost, do you get the whole body back or do you just float around? Like, do you have hands? Do you have feet?
Ooh, this is hotly contended because in a Beetlejuice scenario, you are stuck with however you die. But your Jacob Marley example, no, you get your full body back. So if you were ripped asunder by a crocodile and consumed, you'd get your full body back. I like to believe that most ghosts get their body back. But then, Tim, here's the weirder part. If you get your whole body back, there's some sort of law by which all ghosts get to be whole again. Why is it that then those ghosts simultaneously are forced to wear the same attire they died in? Why is it clothing specific?
That's a good question. So the scenario where you are separated at the shoulder from your body.
Right.
If we're going with the Beetlejuice scenario, technically you're no longer wearing shoes.
Uh-huh.
It's a little worrisome because
it isn't.
If you're doing the Jacob Marley thing, you get your clothes back, the ones you were wearing, so you are covered shoe-wise.
Yeah, again, I have to point out what shoes you were wearing when you die has no bearing on whether or not you get into heaven. I know you don't agree.
I don't. I think that's nonsense. The chorus of this song goes, I can't keep it all together, and the siren song that is your madness holds a truth I can't erase, all alone on your face. Is he attracted to crazy? Is that what that means?
I think it's booze.
Ooh. So I like that. I think that's right.
Well, I had a very interesting read on this. We agree. There's a car accident clearly caused by alcohol. Then there's the line, she takes a drink and then she waits. The alcohol, it permeates. And soon the cell gives way and cancels out the day. I think the girl who was in the accident didn't die and was in fact driving. And she is now drinking to forget the lives that she took that day.
Okay, so he was riding a motorcycle drunk. Girl on the back. Drunk driver hits them. Girl on the back of the motorcycle flies off into the crocodile's mouth, becomes a ghost. We don't know if it's of the Beetlejuice or Marley variety, but now this is from the third person, I guess fourth if we're counting the crocodiles, the fourth person's perspective in this whole scenario.
In that one, sure.
Okay, let's be done with this.
Tim, how did this do?
This debuted at a lowly 135 on the Billboard 200. It did eventually rise to hit number 25, but it also spent 106 weeks on the chart. It ended up sextuple platinum because in the late 90s, you could sell 7 million copies plus worldwide and never get anywhere near that number one spot.
What did people think of it?
Robert Christgau did not review this album, but he did grade it.
Okay, well, I'll do a cold guess.
Okay, well, let me preface this by saying it's not a letter grade, it's an emoji.
That's tough. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, keep in mind he did give this an emoji in 1997, so that severely limits your options.
That's true. Winky face?
Frowny face. Amazon, there are 525 reviews, 4.5 out of 5 stars on average, 78% 5 star, 6% 1 star. I have honestly never seen an album with more reviews noting people's ages or the ages at which they first heard this album, but most of them are like in the 6 to 19 range, so it's maybe a different animal. So the first review here is by Edward Sharp. It's called Pouring Salt into the Wounds of Heartbreak. I remember when the band broke on the radio back in high school. I remember going to a Third Eye Blind concert as a freshman in college, but I never gave a damn about them until a few months ago when I came across the full album. My life would never be the same. Yes, that is a major statement to make. If you read my other reviews, you'll see that I rely on music in times of severe stress in my life. When I got this CD, I was going through a terrible loss, the loss of my first true love. She turned out to be a horrible person, a completely selfish liar, but she was amazingly hot. I had split up with her probably a year ago, but she and I started being friends again after she got engaged to some other guy. Yep, I was right. There was an amazing, volatile chemistry between us. It never faltered. We were perfect for each other, except for the glaring hole that she was incapable of returning the type of devotion I felt for her. It's that kind of relationship where all your friends are happy it's over because they can plainly see how it's destroying you, how there's no hope she'll ever become a loving, caring, trustworthy person. She broke off the engagement 1 month before she was going to marry the guy. She wanted to start seeing me again. Saying no was the hardest thing I ever did. She and I would never see each other again. But, like she'd cheated on me, she had been cheating on her fiancé. First with me, then with someone else. At 26 years old, this was her character, not a phase. Once more, this gorgeous girl had broken my heart. This is where Third Eye Blind comes in. I distinctly remember cranking the background in my car after I saw her for the last time. When I reached my apartment, I stumbled out of the car, collapsing in a heap of tears and gasps. She was gone, but like the song states, I'll always carry her in the background of my mind. The plans I make still have her in them. She may fade to a mere buzz in my mind over the years, but as soon as she comes swimming into view, I know my heart will explode with passion for her, no matter if I'm in love with somebody else at the time.
What an idiot. That song's about a woman being eaten by a crocodile.
I'll hang on her words like I always used to. I only feel for her. 5 out of 5 stars. One more here. This is by Warcon. It's called The Only Rock Album I Liked. Really, really liked, from 2005. Yes, it's true what they were all saying. I believed it would be impossible to be disappointed with this CD. I don't even like rock or alternative or whatever. I listen to gospel and R&B, but I had to have this CD when I heard it years ago. I literally wore it out back then and just bought another used copy and still enjoy it as much or more. But I do skip the first song because of the taking the Lord's name in vain. 5 out of 5 stars.
What a weird way to live your life. Listeners, if any of you were insane religious people at any point, or still are, write in. I want to hear about it.
I tell you about it all the time, and you dismiss it? You imply that I'm lying?
Yes, you are an unreliable narrator.
Sure. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Tim, who's this for?
This is for everyone alive in 1997 who had access to a radio.
Yeah, super for me. Possibly as late as 1999. Final thoughts. What have we not said about this album?
Nothing.
Yeah, we've really gone above and beyond. It is all the things we said up top. Tim, I didn't learn anything today.
Well, I don't think that's quite true. We learned about the crocodile story. I learned about lightning and people being struck by lightning.
That's true. We did learn a lot. I just don't think I learned anything about Third Eye Blind. And so that I must ask. Do you hate this album?
No, I don't. The lyrics are darker and weirder than I remembered, but I would say 80% of the lyrics on this album are the same thing. It's not enough to actively hate. The music is bouncy but kind of boring. I guess I give the whole thing kind of the unbridled, I don't care. What about you, Garrett? Did you somehow get there?
Of course not. I remain unthere. It's weird. There was a phase there where I really liked pop music, apparently. But if you'd asked me what kind of music this is before this week, I really would have said alternative rock. It's not. It is grunge. Pop rock grunge. Post-grunge
Well,
pop.
I don't think it's really grunge or rock, so probably just pop.
I think it is fair to call it post-grunge alternative pop rock.
That's complicated, but sure, we'll go with that.
No better way to be. Tim, did you know that you can go to hatepod.com and click on contact us in the upper left-hand corner, and that'll reach out directly to us. It does ask for an email. That's just so we can email you back, and you could always put in a fake one if you don't want to hear from us. Or you could just email us directly at hatepodmail@gmail.com, or while you're at hatepod.com, you could download or get links to every single episode in every format you could ever possibly want. You can also talk to us on Twitter at albumhatepod, Instagram at hatepod, facebook.com/hatepod, YouTube, we're on there too, but who knows what the URL is. It's not straightforward. You can go out to Apple Podcasts and you can give us the 5 stars, get those out of the way, and then throw a review in there. We love to read them. We like to read them on the show. We're looking for something unique, and it makes a big difference. You could also just tell somebody you think would like the show to give it a listen.
If you'd like to send us drawings that aren't us making out or worse, we'd love those. If you want to send us songs, if record a cover of our theme song that was done by Sethavus, the intro music, or the outro music, that's Greg Newman, the Ballad of Tim and Gary. We should thank Samantha Mistrati at sam. MASTRATI for our new artwork. Go out Discord or Reddit. I don't know if Garrett mentioned that. I typically tune him out when he does this.
Dynamite ad Tim. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other Gordon.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.